Tuesday night crit. Masters race. There we see Breen on the far right in the blue Torchy's bike mart kit. On the front, closely followed by Brent on Cadence, the big guy, the big cat. And watch them carefully because they will be major players at the beginning of this race related to breakaway attempts. So I'm actually narrating this on July 12th, so it's been some amount of time since I was actually in this race, and memory fades a little bit about what exactly happened here, but the part that I want to focus on, particularly related to crit learning, tactics learning, you see Brent falling a little bit to the back here, he doesn't want to be second wheel, is related to this guy right in front of me here, Torchy's kit, with the red, yellow, and green fork. He's now 3 riders ahead of me. So my teammate there, Ryan, in the Cheney windows and door kit with the yellow and blue stripes. That's my teammate. Right in front of him is Chris Carlson, who is a many-time national champion and world champion Masters level, was a previous professional cyclist in his younger days, but he is one of the most elite Masters cyclists for a long time now, and his national and world championships attest to that. Anyway, we're going to focus on what he does in this crit a little bit later on, but he's not going to be a player at the beginning of the crit. So he has arguably the strongest person in the race as a teammate in the form of Patrick Breen, who's now on the front. Now Patrick, he just has this monster threshold, and his strategy is to get in the breakaway, and if he's not in the breakaway yet, his strategy is to go hard and make it hard for everyone else. So you see that he just went right now as we turned into a tailwind. And this was, he said afterwards, his strategy, that he was going to attack in the tailwind. Now, we have a teammate, Ryan, there, pretty quickly on his wheel. And Brent, big cat, chasing and getting on. So we have a breakaway of 3 there. So we're represented by 3 teams. Torchy's Bike Mart, our team, Cheney, and Cadence. Cadence, RG is right in front of me. He has the Cadence kit on. And we are all to the right now in the gutter. The wind is coming from our left. To the right, the wind is from the south. And so we're not really getting much of not getting any draft. You know, it's like a contest to see how close you can go to the edge of this concrete, which isn't all that much fun. You can see that I'm not that close to the edge. With those 3 teams up the road, that means likely that we're not going to do a lot of work to bring that back. Obviously, we want the brake to go away. Now that assumes that we feel like, you know, the person on our team that's in the brake can stick the brake, i.e. not get dropped from the brake. That's the number 1 cardinal no-no of getting in a brake, is getting dropped from the brake. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, doesn't mean that you know, if it happens you were a terrible person or anything like that. It's just team tactics. If your team is going to let you go up the road and protect your position up the road. So we see, you know, here's Chris Carlson, the world champion. His teammate is created that break, and now he's on the front of the field, and he is in a very arrow-tucked position, and he is absolutely guttering us all. Now you'd say, well, if the brake is going away, why is he doing this? Why is he on the front? Why wouldn't he let somebody else pull? 1, he's not going to get tired. He can do this all day. Number 2, he's going at a pace just slower than his teammates, and he's also not letting anyone in the group get a draft by riding in the absolute gutter. So again, the wind's coming from the right, he rides on the far left, he's going just slower than the brake. The brake is gaining distance, gaining time, and this is discouraging attacks, discouraging bridging attempts. So he just did that, you know, he did that for what? Like a lap. Just a little bit less than a lap, a little bit less than a mile. And now he's pulled off and he's to the right. So let's watch his tactics. So Torchy's, not Torchy's, that's Pegasus. that just went up the road. Pegasus did not get in the break, and they know this break is going to go away. And so that's an attempt to bridge up to the break. None of us followed or chased. We see Jason moving up there on the left. He's on the far left side, so he's actually not guttering. The opposite of guttering. He's riding towards the wind, so we're all in echelon formation and getting a little bit of a draft off Jason as we move up into position here. And now I'm on Chris Carlson's wheel here, and my teammate Andy there. So riders 2, 3, and 4, me being number 4, we're all represented in the break. And let's see if anyone else tries to get up to the break. If your team is not represented in the break, you have to be wondering right now, you know, what's it going to take to get this break to come back? All the placings are up the road. Now, could Andy have attacked there to try to bridge up? Perhaps. What you don't want to do in his case is drag everyone up with you. I'm 100% certain. So you can see there that I let a gap open. Maybe that will drift off and he gets away. But what you don't want is to drag up the whole group to the breakaway unless it's in your tactical interest to get a reset of the breakaway. And I think, here Andy is kind of doing the same thing of just kind of keeping the pace up a little bit. We're not going very fast at all, 21, 22 miles an hour. This is not a hard effort. We're going slow here. He's just on the front doing sub-tempo. And you see that he's on the far left. He's in the guttering position. Again, kind of doing the same thing that Chris was doing before, which was being on the front, riding a little bit of tempo, but not letting anyone in the back get a draft unless they're formed a new echelon behind us, which of course they don't and won't. But Jason, he's more interested in perhaps closing the gap, so it might be in his interest to ride on the front in a non-guttering position, but no, he's going to the guttering position here. Kind of depends on what you want. Do you want the people behind you to cooperate, work together, and chase? Or do you want to chase in a position where everyone's having to do something akin to the amount of work that you're doing? But this is the phase of the race where the breakaway is going away, and sorry, my screen just blipped out as I'm recording this. This is the phase where the breakaway is getting away, and it's sort of easy and slow because it's tactical, and there's no one right now that's particularly motivated to chase. Now Jimmy's on the frontier again. Cadence, so represented in the breakaway. Me is second wheel right now, and Jimmy is also doing the false tempo, i.e. keep the race, keep the pace of the group high enough that people aren't resting too much. However, you can see that he's on the left rather than being on the right, meaning he is giving a draft to folks behind him. At least the first maybe 8 bikes that are able to get a draft. I don't know what's going on behind me in terms of people being guttered all the way to the right or not. But anyway, what we're interested in, I think in particular to this video, is what's going to happen when Chris makes a move. And that's going to be coming up hopefully in not too long. It's theoretically, I would edit this video down to like 6 minutes or something and talk over it, but that takes more time actually than just talking through the video. I know that may suck for you, but I don't have time to do any more than I'm doing. This is a labor of love, not a labor of commercial reward. So we see that Pegasus went up the road. I think that was Kato, and he tried to bridge but couldn't make it. And a couple of teams that were not represented here in the breakaway, United and Reunion, are now on the front again. It's hard to get a motivated chase when you gutter folks, so they're not guttering everyone, which is good if you want people to work together and chase. Again, riding to the right, able to get some draft. But we're going to watch and see what Chris does at some point here. You know, at this point, Pegasus failed to get to the breakaway. Nobody else is going to be able to get to Breen and company. It's gone. When the fastest breakaway specialist is gone in a short race like this, you can pretty much guarantee the race is over when, you know, that person has something like a 40-second lead. In terms of the places, but that doesn't mean that the tactics are over. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean things are over, because I will give you a spoiler. Even though 3 guys are up the road and it's a successful breakaway, someone in our group gets 3rd place. So how is that going to happen? That's the mystery that we will point out. This video will be a little bit shorter than normal, but I'll talk more about that a little bit later. I guess one spoiler I'm not giving away at the moment. Again, let's look at our speed, 24. So, I mean, we're going a little bit here. This is not just completely off the pedals. Having to do, at least briefly there, you know, sort of like mid-250s watts. The MPA on the left bottom there is maximum power available, so that indicates how much power I have available, and that number goes down. That means I'm going more into the red and I'm more exhausted. That indicates I have pretty good reserves, right? Like I'm not particularly taxed right now. And as I was sitting here in the race, I was thinking, you know, I guess Chris is just going to take this race off. He's got, you know, his teammate up ahead, probably for the win, at least for top 3, and he'll just save his energy for the next race, which is the A race, i.e. Cat 1, 2, 3. And you know, just get in a few miles, just sit with us and do whatever. There was our photographer Lee, does an excellent job, great photos. And this is Jimmy again. Now this is his thing. Jimmy being on the front, sort of being the pilot fish here for the field with his own teammate in the break. Again, he's not trying to chase down the break. He is going at a speed that he estimates will not cause the break to be caught, but is fast enough to tire some people out and discourage people from having the energy to want to go ahead and attack. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this kind of tactic myself. I think it is better in general to let other teams get on the front and to go slower if they will go slower, but I see the logic. I will say that, you know, I've considered the same thing. I've done the same thing from time to time. However, I think at this level of racing, it's not usually executed well in terms of this strategy of being on the front on the chase when your teammate's up ahead. If you watch NorCal Cycling, he's very much against chasing. Now, I'm not saying Jimmy's chasing. He's not trying to bring the group back. But I think to some degree it's a little bit pointless and counterproductive. Let the other teams wear themselves out. Let them take the responsibility to chase, unless it's just absolutely, you know, nothing and you need to go. So here we see Jason putting in a little dig here with his teammate on the front, Juan, and my teammate covering this. Jason didn't put in a huge dig, just a little bit off the front, rolling off the front. And again, maybe Juan here, his teammate's up ahead, just a little bit, a few bike lengths. Yeah, don't pedal. Just slowly let that gap open, and yeah, don't chase it. So he didn't. He put in a few pedal strokes, and then it's like, no, I'm just going to let that roll. And, this is good. Maybe my teammate can catch up to the brake. But, okay. I was telling you, world champion's going to make a move and do something at some point. Here it is. This is Chris Carlson. And he doesn't like this move going up the road. He's going to cover this. He's been sitting in, relaxing. And he's covering it. And he's taking the field to this little chase group of 2. Let's see what he does next. He takes a look to the left, behind, sees what damage he's done. He's in the draft right now, my teammate on the front. And letting the legs relax a little bit, a little freewheeling. Not moving to the front. With my teammate being over to the left, it's giving a draft. And what's going on through that predator mind of his? Because he's one of the absolute tactical best persons that we race with, no doubt about it. Okay, there he goes. Now, I was right with him, so I decided to go. But partly in my head I was thinking, maybe I should not have done that and let my teammate go. But my teammate can be on me anyway, and I need to do something at some point. Now, one thing here is Chris is absolutely, he's going hard here. I was just looking down, I was over 600 watts. He's absolutely guttering. Absolutely going to ride close to the edge to give me no draft. And I have to just, I'm trying to get close to his wheel. And I have a limit on how close I'm willing to go to the edge just because it takes the shortest line through the chicane, even though for a brief moment it gives a little bit of draft. And again, going on the very left. I was talking to Kato after the race on Pegasus, and I talked about how hard it was. I let the draft go there. It's not good. I need to stay on the wheel. So this is my teammate up the road, Ryan, who's in the breakaway, and he has fallen back. So he got dropped from the break of 3. So 2 guys up the road, and now he is going to integrate in with us. So now there is 3rd place for grabs. Only 2 people up the road. Now look at Chris here. I'm like, he's further over to the right than me, and he's absolutely guttering everyone. And this was I'm just exhausted here. So my heart rate's almost up to 170, which for me is extremely high, as in like complete failure mode. This for me, like, you go 190, I go 170. That's it. I have a relatively low max heart rate. And this is absolutely hurting me. Again, going over to the place of least draft. I'm coughing up phlegm that's been sitting in there for 5 years. Like, I'm using parts of my lung that have not been used in a long time. And you can see, I'm not even really behind him. And look how arrow he is. I mean, his positioning, you can't even, like, when you're behind him, you only see his butt. I mean, there's nothing else. So I think at this point, it's just 4 of us. And look, even harder right now, going up to 700 watts there for me to just stay on his wheel. With my heart rate above 165 already, suffering. Now, with teammates behind me, 2 teammates on me here, I thought to myself, should I be a little bit, maybe me being a little bit off the wheel gives a little bit of draft to my teammate behind me. Again, I'm not really trying to do that, but just my lack of comfort of being on the edge of the thing here. So I did a little bit better about not dropping the wheel there, but still dropped the wheel. Okay, so teammate Andy puts in a dig, and I was just toast at this point. And I thought, okay, that's the move. I've played my role. I'm done. I'm just cracked. He cracked me. Exhausted. So what happens next? Those three go up the road. Nobody catches them. Patrick Breen, his teammate, Torchy teammate, goes for first place, wins. Brent, on cadence, was dropped by Breen. It wasn't particularly close. So Brent was riding by himself, doing a solo time trial, and stays away comfortably for second. And then the three riders there that just dropped me, Chris Carlson, Ryan, Andy, so my two teammates and Chris, fighting it out for third place. Eventually, Chris drops Ryan, and it is just Andy and Chris rolling together, and in the final sprint, Chris wins and takes third. So I thought he was taking time off, and the guy ends up on the podium. He's So it's always fun to watch guys that are really smart and fast, and to race with those guys. We can learn a lot from what they do. When it's just a kind of a throwaway situation of just sit in and do whatever because my teammate's going to win. No, he's going to go up the road, and he's going to take third place. He's going to take the money. He's going to take the podium. And, for Chris, third place in the Tuesday night crit, is probably not the biggest source of pride in his life or this season or at all, but the man is a master tactician, and so we can learn from him. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that a little bit. Sorry I couldn't do better and have stuck with them and have more video to show you about further tactics in the race, but it is what it is. I guess that's Breen right there passing me, lapping me. Anyway, my race was over. Coming at you soon with the next video of the Masters race coming up soon. Thanks, and I'll catch you next time.